Hey everybody, Dr. Chris from Human 2.0, and today we're going to do a body weight strength workout for healthier knees. You're going to need some wall space to work from and a bench or a stool that you can use during the workout. So now that you've got your space set up, we're going to get right to it. We're going to do a quick warm-up first. As always, don't forget to hydrate when necessary or take a rest when necessary. This is a strength workout, it is not a conditioning workout. So we're not trying to burn through it as fast as we can. What we're trying to do is to take our time and work purposely through the movements with intention to make sure that we get the most out of each movement that we can. So first, we're going to start out just with some simple knee circles to make sure that we warm up and get some fluid moving through all of the areas of the knee. So generally, we're going to do 5 in each direction. So we can do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, I'm aware that your knee is primarily a hinge joint, and that's the primary movement. But your knee does accommodate some movements in other planes to a small degree. And so before we get started with our strength exercises, we want to make sure that we've kind of got the fluid within the knee moving around and that we have all areas of the articular cartilage bathed with synovial fluid or lubricated so that we can get the most out of the exercises that we're going to do afterwards. So after we've done our knee circles, we're going to just do 10 easy kicks. So we'll do 5 per side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time I do these kicks, it kind of makes me reflect back on my Taekwondo days. And lastly, we're going to do some slow half squats. Because we're just doing these for warm-up, we're not really focusing on going all the way down, although we are very strong proponents of A to G or ass to grass squats in Human 2.0. Here we're just doing half squats just to kind of get the muscles of the hips and the muscles of the legs kind of warmed up. So we're just going to do 10 of these total. And we're actually trying to spend more time working on going down than we are going up. That's 5 reps right there. So that we can focus on that negative aspect and really kind of get some eccentric focus with this exercise, even though we're just warming up. So that's 7, 8, 9, and 10. So one more time, we'll go through that warm up. 5 per side circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you hear a little bit of snap, crackle, pop in your knees, don't worry. That's okay. Crepitus or noise in the knee is actually relatively common and is quite normal. It doesn't always mean that something is wrong or that something is bad. So a little bit of snap, crackle, pop is okay. 4 and 5. All right, 10 kicks per side, or 5 kicks per side, I should say, 10 total. 2, 3, 4. And now that we've started to get a little bit of blood in our lower extremities, we can kind of go a little bit more or a little bit harder, a little bit farther than we did with the first round. And lastly, for the half squats, slow down. You could kind of do this like a 1, 2, 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 4, 2, 3. 1, 5, 2, 3. 1, 6, 2, 3. 1. And really, as we're doing these, focus on driving the knees out over the outside edge of the foot while keeping the feet pointed towards the front. 9, 2, 3, and 10, 2, 3. There you go. So you can shake that out. You should be starting to feel some warmth in the legs and that the muscles are starting to come alive. So that will tell you that you're starting to get warmed up and you're ready to do the exercises. So grab yourself a quick drink, take a quick break for a moment, and let's get ready to the exercise. Let's get right into the exercises. Okay, so for the first exercise that we're going to do, we're going to do what's basically called a side-to-side squat. And this is kind of like a lower scale or a regressed version of a Cossack squat. So we're not going to be doing the full Cossack squat. And so this is great for people who are just beginners and for people who don't have the knee or hip or ankle flexibility to allow them to get in the Cossack squat. So for this one, basically you want to have your feet just outside your shoulders. And so we're going to set up in that position. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come into a squat position, down, and then we're going to do 10 reps in total, side to side. We want to keep our torso up. We don't want to be bent down in between. We want to try and keep our butts down as we come across. We want to end up with our weight directly over top of the planted foot on each side. And we're going to bring the opposite leg to a straight position. We're not going to pop the foot up like a Cossack. We're going to keep that glued to the floor. So this would be 4 reps here, but we're going to try and keep at the same level as we go across. So this is 6, and we're going to take our time to do so. And I know that this is difficult for some of you, but that is okay, because that is the impetus that is going to get our body to change. So we're hoping that it's going to be moderately difficult, and we're going to work through it. And you should be, as you get to the last one, I think this is 10 right here, you should be a little bit tired as you're doing it, because this is in fact a strength exercise. So we're going to do that. The next exercise that we're going to do is going to be a step up or a tap down. So there are 2 variations of this, and you can do this from a step, or you can do this from a stool or from a bench. But what I'll say to you is the higher the thing that you are stepping from or stepping to, the harder this is going to be. You can do what is called a step up. And for this step up, you're basically going to just do that. You're going to step up. But we want to do so slow and under control with a few caveats. So the first one is that we want to have an active foot. So we don't want our foot to be flat and just rolling to the inside. We want to make sure that our foot is active. So if I show you from the side, we don't want it to just be flat. We want to grip the surface that we're working on so that we have a good arch in our foot. We want to squeeze the toes and try to drag them towards the heel so we have an active foot. Also, as we step up, we want to make sure that our pelvis stays level. We don't want our pelvis to drop down, so you have to squeeze your glute cheek, particularly the glute cheek of the leg that's on the step. And finally, we want to make sure that we have our leg over the outside edge of our foot. So if we look down, we can see our big toe, and you want to drive the knee towards the front of the foot. And so for the easier variation, all we're going to do is transfer our weight and step up. That's it. And then back down, step up, and back down. And so if we're doing this exercise now, and we're doing the easier version, we're going to do 5 step ups. We don't want to rush through this because we want to do this under control. So we're making sure that we pause at the bottom, reset, and come back up. And obviously this exercise will take a little bit of balance. And so you may find you have to hold on to something as you're doing it just to give you that balance so that you don't tip over. But as you become stronger, you will find that balance will be less and less of an issue, because a major part of balance is your ability to control the smaller muscles of your lower extremity. So as you get stronger and as those muscles you get stronger, your balance will improve. But for now, you may need to hold on to something. So the easier version is the step up. But for those of you who find that easier, then we can go to the next variation, which is a controlled step down. And basically, you want to try to do 5 reps without fully planting your foot to the ground. And so all of the same rules that I talked about just apply, but instead of going up, you're going to come down, touch the heel to the floor, and back up. Down, touch the heel to the floor, back up. 3, back up. 4, and back up. And then 5, and back up. And certainly, if you do that variation, which is the stepped down, the controlled step down, you're going to find that the muscles of your quadricep, in particular the VMO, and the muscles of your calf will light up way quicker than if you do the opposite, or the easier variation, which is the concentric contraction as we step up. So we're going to do 5 of those per side. So we've done 5 on the right. So we're going to do 5 on the left. And so we're going to do the touchdowns. 1, 2, 3. And again, the goal is to not have your foot come fully down onto the ground, just to touch under control with your heel and then back up. So everybody will have one side stronger than the other. For me, my right hand side is stronger than my left hand side. So ideally, I would be training the left hand side first, because we always want to try and do the weaker side first. But more specifically, when I am demonstrating the exercise, you'll see that there is more movement of my leg underneath me on the left hand side, because I don't have the same level of lower extremity strength on the left than I do the right. And that's normal for most people. So you'll be better at one side than the other. But always when we're doing these, try to do the weaker side first, so that when you have more energy on board, you can use that to concentrate for that weaker side. Okay, so we've done either the step up or the step down, 5 reps per side. The next exercise that we're going to do, and I'll demonstrate all these exercises, then we're actually going to go through one time with no coaching, and I'll show you them all in succession. So we're going to do a single leg glute bridge hold. And so for this, you're going to be laying in a supine position, or in other words, on your back. And for the standard glute hold, what we want to do is keep our hands resting in a neutral position at our side. We're not pressing through our hands. We're just going to keep them down adjacent to our buttocks. And then you basically want to squeeze your glutes up while keeping your shoulder blades on the ground, bringing your pelvis as high towards the ceiling as possible. And you want to either, if you're doing repetitions, come up to that position and then stop. Or if you're doing a hold, you want to squeeze your glutes and bring your pelvis as high towards the ceiling as possible, and hold that for either 15, 30, 45, or 60 seconds. So that's the standard glute bridge hold. But for this, we're actually going to do a single leg glute bridge hold. And so that's just a variation of what I just showed you, where we only do it with one leg. So there are 2 ways to enter into this. So for the easier version, you're going to come up in a regular glute bridge hold, keeping your hands neutral, and then bring your leg out and hold your leg out. And so if we were holding this for 30 seconds, that's 10, 15, 20, 25, and you'd feel your glutes starting to light up. So I've done one side, so then I'm going to do the other. That's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that's a 30-second glute bridge hold. And that's the easier way, where we first come up into a double leg hold and then we move our leg. But if you're looking for a more advanced version of that, then you can extend the leg right from the bottom and then come up on a single leg into that position. and do the same hold. And if I demonstrate on the other side, again, leg comes out, extend first, squeeze the glutes, and hold into that position. So some of the things that are important, when you're in the fully extended glute bridge position, we want our pelvis to be as high towards the ceiling as possible. We don't want it down here, so up. And we also, if I demonstrate with my other leg here, we don't want our pelvis to rotate. The pelvis should be parallel to the floor, and it should be square so that, that both sides of the pelvis are at the same level. So that is our single leg glute bridge hold. So that's the third exercise. And now for the last exercise, for knee health, we want the muscles around the knee to be strong. But in addition to that, knee health is so much more than the muscles around the knee. It's also the muscles of the hip, because we just did a glute bridge there. And it's also the muscles of the lower extremity, including tibialis anterior and the gastrosoleus complex behind the knee. So we want all of those areas to be strong. So for this last exercise, we're going to do toe raises, and that's simple. We're just going to go up and go on our toes as high as we can. And so this is working the gastrosoleus complex. And so when we do this, I'm going to stop for a second. When we do this, we want to spread our toes as wide as possible, and we want to push ourselves up. And when we do that, we want to keep our toes as wide as possible through the movement. In addition, we don't want our feet to come out, so we don't want to roll our feet over or supinate our ankles. We want to keep all of the movement specifically within the front to back, anterior to posterior, or the sagittal plane. We don't want to start to introduce movement in other planes, so we want to keep all of the movement front to back. And we're working on that. And so, and then when we come down on the negative, we want to do it under control. We don't want to drop down and then have all of this impact going through our lower extremity and into our spine. So we want to do it under control. So we're going to do 20 raises. So I don't know how many I've done so far. It's 5. That's 10. 15. And that's 20. And obviously, as we're doing these, I'm going to get some, you're going to start to feel it in your calves. So those areas are going to be warmed up. So now that I have kind of coached you through all of those exercises, let's go through one round of those exercises. No coaching. We're just going to do it together and get on with it. All right? So start out with the side-to-side squat. Get yourself set up. And let's go 10 reps down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your time. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice work. Grab your bench, your step. And remember, as I said, if this is more difficult, you want to start out with something that is lower. The higher it is, the more difficult this is going to be. So you can do a step up if you want. I'm going to do a step down, 5 per side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do the single leg glute bridge hold, and we're doing a 30-second hold each side. So again, you can go all the way up, or you can start from the hold position itself. So I'm going to start with my left leg, that being the weaker one. So right from the bottom. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Switch it up to the other side. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Nice. My glutes are getting fired up. Starting to feel that. And lastly, 20 toe raises. Toes wide apart. Let's go. Five. 10. 19, 20. Nice work, nice work. So now we've gone through twice. If you're feeling like you want a little bit more, you can add on one more round of those 4 exercises. So you can go through a total of 3 times, but 2 to 3 rounds of those exercises should be sufficient to include in a larger workout to allow you to focus some of your training around your knees for hopefully healthier and improved knee strength. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to rest for a moment and grab yourself a drink, we're gonna finish off with a stretch. We're basically gonna just stretch 2 things, the 2 areas that I think will be the saltiest after our little workout. So the first thing that we're gonna do is a figure 4 stretch on the ground, and we're gonna do that to stretch out our glutes, because for many people that glute or the glute bridge hold is going to be challenging, and your glute muscles are going to be tight. We're going to lay on our back, bring both of our knees up, and we're going to take one leg and bring that ankle across the knee, and then we're going to reach through and bring that knee to our chest, and you should be feeling that stretch along the outside of your buttock on that side. So this is a great stretch for your gluteal muscles and for the short external rotators of the hip, including the piriformis. So this is the stretch that helps that out. Oh, and this, although this is a static stretch, there is a slight amount of movement as you are here, so that you can kind of get all aspects of those external rotator muscles and the abductors as you are here. So a little bit of movement side to side, a little bit of in and out with that stretch will help to achieve that. Ideally, we're going to hold that for about 30 seconds. Then we're going to switch over. Same on the other side, reaching through. And so obviously you should feel that in the shorter external rotators and the glutes on the opposite side. And all the while we are cooling down and stretching, we are also trying at the same time to gain mastery over our heart rate. And so we're trying to now activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest nervous system. So to do that, what we want to do is breathe slowly in through our nose and then out through our mouth, so that we can try to control our heart rate, get everything to slow down. Okay. And one more side. And breathing in slowly through the nose and out through the mouth. When I'm demonstrating this in the gym, I'm always trying to get people to focus on a box breathing technique, which is where you breathe in for a count of 4, and we're going to switch it up. Breathe, hold for a count of 4, slowly breathe out through a count of 4, and then hold with no breath for a count of 4. So that's the simple box breathing technique. When I do this personally, however, I'm always trying to really hone down on my ability to control my parasympathetic nervous system. And so I actually do a variant of that, where I breathe in for 4, hold for 4, And because the exhalation is the part which has the most effect on your parasympathetic system, I breathe out under control for a count of 8, sometimes even 12, and then I hold with no breath for 4. And so basically I'm trying to take 1 to 2 breaths every minute and get everything to slow down. So that's our figure 4 stretch. And lastly, the last stretch that I want to do is for our soleus gastrosoleus complex, because we spent a lot of time doing toe raises. And for this, basically what we're going to do is keep our foot flat to the floor, and we are going to squat, half squat down over top of it. And I want you to really drive your hamstring here towards the heel of your foot, while at the same time keeping your heel close to the ground. And so we're going to do this stretch here and try to hold this for about 30 seconds. And again, as with most of our stretches, you can rock a little bit forward and back just to kind of allow the muscle to see different levels of tension and to hit different parts of the muscle. And then we're going to switch that up. Same thing on the other side. Heels flat. Try to drive the hamstring towards the heel. And this stretch here, because the knee is bent, is primarily stretching the soleus, which is the deeper, fattier portion of the calf muscle. If you wanted to stretch the upper portion, then you would have your legs straight behind you, but here we're really focusing on the soleus. Excellent work. So we got that stretched out. So basically our glutes and our calf stretched out, the areas that we're working the hardest. So there you have it. That's been a bodyweight strength circuit with a focus on building stronger and healthier knees. So I hope that was both educational and enjoyable for you. That's Dr. Chris signing off. Thanks for watching.